All right, if you're someone who tends to, well, think too much, you've probably already replayed the start of this in your head like 3 times, trying to decide if it's actually for you. Good news. It is. You're in exactly the right place. So let's just dive in. And hey, if you're now thinking about the fact that you're thinking, yep, this is definitely for you. Because once we unpack the real mechanism behind that endlessly spinning mind of yours, I think you're going to finally feel, really understood. Okay, first things first. We need to get something straight right out of the gate. Overthinking, it's way, way more than just a bad habit of, worrying a lot. A lot of people think of it as just a nervous habit, right? Kind of like biting your nails. But for every single social interaction you've ever had. But what's really going on under the hood is that a very specific network in your brain is basically stuck in overdrive. So this network that's working overtime, what's it even doing? Well, here's the thing. It's not actually solving problems. Nope. It's just rehearsing them. Scientists have a name for it, of course. They call it the default mode network. Think of it as the part of your brain that's in charge of introspection, looking inward, imagining the future, and yes, replaying the past. The thing is, for overthinkers, this network isn't just on, it's running constantly, and it is exhaustingly loud. It's that voice you just wish would switch off for 5 minutes. And that constant, just draining hum has a name. It's a concept that psychologist Susan Nolan-Hoeksema really pinned down. She called it rumination. And let's be super clear, this is not the same as productive reflection. That's when you think about something and actually move toward a conclusion. Rumination, that's just getting stuck, spinning your wheels, cycling through the exact same thoughts over and over without ever getting anywhere. And that right there is the absolute core of it. You feel like you're problem solving, but you're not. You're not figuring out what to say or what you did wrong. You're just rehearsing the problem, playing it out again and again, maybe in slightly different costumes, but none of it ever actually helps. And here's the really frustrating part, the big irony. You do this because some part of you believes that if you just think about it long enough, you'll crack the code, you'll find the solution. But all the research shows the exact opposite is true. This kind of thinking doesn't process the emotion, it preserves it. It's like trapping it in amber, making the negative feeling even stronger and locking it right in place. Okay, so if it's so unhelpful, why on earth does your brain do it? You might be thinking it's some kind of flaw, right? But it's not. It's actually a very old and, frankly, a very smart survival skill that's just being misapplied. See, for a lot of overthinkers, this whole habit started when you were young. Maybe you grew up in a place where uncertainty felt genuinely dangerous. You had to get really good at predicting a parent's mood or reading a room perfectly just to avoid conflict. Your brain learned that thinking 5 steps ahead wasn't just a fun game. It was how you stayed okay. It wasn't a bug, it was a feature. It was adaptive, it was smart. The problem? The problem is that your brain is still running that high alert software, but now it's running it for everyday situations. So that ambiguous text message, that weird look someone gave you in a meeting, they get the same level of intense 5-alarm fire scrutiny as a genuine threat. To your brain, there's no difference. And this leads to one of the cruelest ironies of all, especially when it comes to empathy. Because overthinkers often have empathy in spades. It's just never, ever pointed inward. Just think about something as simple as sending a text to cancel plans, right? For most people, that's like a 9-second job. But for the overthinker, oh man, you get trapped. You're analyzing every single word for every possible negative interpretation. 15 minutes later, you've agonized over it, you finally send a nearly identical text, and then you spend another 10 minutes rereading what you sent, trying to guess how the other person is taking it. It's this wild disconnect, right? You'll spend an entire hour on the phone, patiently convincing a friend that they are absolutely not a burden. And then you'll lie awake that night completely convinced that you are a burden to everyone around you. It's the same mind, but it's playing by 2 totally different sets of rules. So the big question is, why can't you just stop? Why can't you just turn it off? Okay, let's try a quick experiment right now. For the next few seconds, I want you to do everything in your power to not think of a white bear. Don't do it. Ready? Go.
So, what happened? I'm willing to bet a white bear popped right into your head. This is a classic psychological phenomenon called the rebound effect, something psychologist Daniel Wigner demonstrated really clearly. The more you actively try to suppress a thought, the more it comes roaring back with a vengeance the second you stop trying.
Sound familiar? This is the crucial takeaway. Every single time someone has told you to just stop worrying about it, they were, without meaning to, neurologically setting you up to fail. Of course you couldn't stop. That thought was always going to come flooding back, probably even stronger than before. It's not a weakness, it's not your fault. Now look, understanding this stuff doesn't magically make the thinking stop. I wish it did. But what it does do is it allows you to start having a totally new kind of conversation with your own mind. Because here's the secret. Your overthinking isn't just random, chaotic noise. It's actually a map. And if you look closely, it points almost exactly to what you value most in the world. Your relationships, your work, your integrity. It's a map of everything you're terrified of losing. And that knowledge lets us completely shift our goal. We can stop asking the old question, how do I make this go away? And start asking a much better, much more interesting question. What is this thought trying to protect me from? Because a lot of the time, the danger your brain is still scanning for, well, it disappeared years ago. All that's left is the habit. And maybe this is the most important thing to take away from all of this. The goal probably isn't a quieter mind. In fact, chasing a quiet mind just adds a whole new layer of frustration when you can't get there. No, the real goal is building a more honest relationship with the thoughts you already have. It's about being able to look at a thought spiral starting up and say, oh, hey, I see you. I know why you're here, but I'm the one who decides how much of my evening you get to take up. And trust me, that isn't a small thing. That's pretty much the whole game.